Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Conversation Learning Foundation live Q&A series. This is our 7th episode. We have one more to go, and today I will be joined by the founder of Conversation, MissyJena. Now, MissyJena, as you probably know, for the last 6 episodes, she's an education visionary who specializes in leadership and learning. She's championing innovation, compassion, inspired connections in work and learning spaces, and to students who quietly and not so quietly struggle to make sense of how they fit into the mix of school, life, and learning. Today's session, we're going to be talking about how families can find joy and connectedness over the holidays. Again, our sponsors, the Canadian Red Cross, thank you very much. The Government of Canada, we appreciate everything you're doing for us to be able to bring this to the families out there during this time. Now, please welcome MissyJena, everything you're doing for us to be able to bring this to the families. Hi, Jena, how are you?
Marlon, I'm great. Thank you so much. You had your introduction talk back to you over there.
I did. YouTube popped up, and I don't know what happened, but we're here now.
That was fantastic. Thank you for the lovely introduction. And look at that, another sunny Saturday.
Another one, that's 4 or 5 in a row.
Here in Vancouver, we've got a sunny day. And it is November 28th. We're both very excited to be with you today to handle some of the questions that have been coming. The topic for today's session, what is it, Marlon?
How can families find joy and connectedness over the holidays? We are approaching the holiday season. I guess it's safe to say we're in it. And there's been a lot of uncertainties. So I think we have a lot of questions today regarding the holidays, traditions, how we can really be okay with what's going on and celebrate the good times that we're about to have.
Very nice, Marlon. Let's get to it.
So our first question, what activities can we do to stay connected with family members virtually over the holidays?
Yeah, so a lot of family visits will be virtual because many regions, provinces here in Canada have firmer measures around maintaining distance and keeping people within their bubbles. So families are going to have to come up with more creative activities to support connection over the holidays. I envision if families have the means, there will be virtual visits, telephone visits, maybe written letters, cards. And we've got the family care kit, which has a whole lot of activities for families to explore that can support connection during the holidays. And we'll give you a tour of the family care kit.
Yeah, I'll go over that before we end today's session, of course. How can we talk to our kids about the holidays being different this year? Now, we all know things are going to be not the same as last year or the years prior. It's going to be different. So how can we make this different experience a positive one?
Okay. Depending on the age of the children, if they're younger, I would say sit down at the table, get a piece of paper, and write down in one column 2019 holidays. What all did you do in 2019? What do your children find important about the holidays? What activities do they enjoy doing? So just list all the things that you did last year. And then over on the 2020 column, list what can carry over and what, identify what things you may not be able to do in 2020, especially around visiting, so that the children can be involved in even just visually seeing how things are going to be different from last year and this year. And in doing this kind of exercise, you may generate some ideas of new things you could do this year.
What are some new things you're thinking of doing this year?
Again,
depending on the family and tradition.
Again, I haven't really thought about Christmas. I haven't thought too much about our own.
You have a nice little tree behind you.
I do. I have a nice little tree, and I have my bauble lights up. I think that this year, well, Marlon, I have a lot of family all over the world, and we have to find different ways to get our love and joy across to our family members. We use things like Facebook Messenger, Viber, sharing photos, text messages, things like that. So I think that this year I will maintain a very small bubble still. I will not be seeing friends in person, and probably just stick to my most immediate family.
This next person.
Wait, go back. How about you? You put me on the spot. I put you on the spot.
I did put you on the spot. Well, it's the same thing for me. I think with the times that we're in, I think we're going to be all having to change something, some aspect of something that was different from last year compared to this year. And it's just creating something new. Previous traditions don't always have to stay traditions, and you can always continue new ones. And it's good to create something new. And being okay with that, I think, is the first step, acknowledging that it's not going to be the same.
Yes. And in you sharing that, Marlon, I'm very present to that. The holidays mean different things for different families, and there's no one universal playbook about what you do during the holidays. Some families have traditions around Santa Claus, and then their other families have traditions around Hanukkah and everything else in between. So for children navigating holidays this year, parents, please do consider that the kids have questions. Is Santa Claus going to visit this year? What about social distancing? All those things like that. So consider that your kids are thinking about the holidays, and keeping that dialogue open for them is going to be really helpful for them to alleviate some of their concerns.
And be open and share your own feelings about what's going on and how you're feeling, and the differences from when you were a kid and growing up, and the traditions that you had back then, and your traditions have slowly evolved. So our next question comes from a parent with twins that are 10 years old. And the twins asked yesterday if Christmas is still happening, and they aren't excited about the holidays this year. This made the parent very upset, and she didn't know what to do and just changed topics. What can we do to help this person?
Oh dear. So twins, so there's two of them, both of them saying that they're not excited about the holidays. They're wondering if Christmas is still happening, and this really caught the parent off guard. So parent had to change topics very quickly. And since this, I imagine the parents had some time to sort of process and think about, maybe there's a few more clues about why the kids aren't necessarily excited about the holidays this year. Maybe they have a lot of questions or concerns. They could just be scared too. It's a big unknown. For this parent, I would say, yeah, I see the help, ! Talk to your kids, just be honest. Say, it's as simple as, I was really taken by surprise that you're not excited about the holidays. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And what would make you feel excited about the holidays? And feel free to own that you are excited about the holidays.
Acknowledge them.
Acknowledge them, if you are or not. But this is a chance to bridge the divide. So you've got twins who express they're not excited, and it could also very likely be that they just had a bad day, and they could have changed their mind. So if you're going to revisit this conversation with your kids, just lead with honesty. I was a little surprised to hear that you weren't excited about the holidays. Tell me more about that.
And it's okay.
It's okay.
So the next question, virtual connections just aren't the same. How can we make it more meaningful? And maybe this parent is someone who has to go on Zoom or online video platform for work, and they're constantly on it. So to them, maybe there's no real connection. So how can they instill something meaningful for their children when doing it?
Yeah. So visiting virtual connections, taking time to check in, like, how are you? Really, how are you? Using one of the, we have check-in boards. virtual connections aren't the same. It's not the real-time physical experience of being with your humans. So
when was the last, let me ask you this quickly. When was the last time you hugged a friend?
Oh my gosh.
Shook someone's hand, even.
Last time I hugged a friend, I think was maybe in June or July. And pre-COVID, I wasn't a big fan of shaking hands. That hasn't changed much for me. I'm a hugger. I'm an elbow shaker. I did have some time at Toastmasters, and that was the one part of Toastmasters that I really did not enjoy, is how frequently we had to shake hands with other people. But that aside, you asked a question, and it just landed how long it's been since it was safe to just be human with other people and give somebody a hug. And virtual connections aren't the same. So what can we do to make it more meaningful? I put things up in my background so that when I'm leading a meeting or when I'm talking to teachers, there's some stuff, there's something in the background, and I do it for the viewer. There's, oh, I see the lights, making an effort to bring some joy into your space. And it helps me too. I love seeing the lights. I've thought about having holiday music playing in the background. We have an upcoming event for our team as we wrap up our projects. And we're actually going to have our last meeting, our last time together is going to be a pajama party. So yeah, we're bringing all the staff together, all our contractors that supported with the Conversation Family Care Kit and the School Care Kit. And next Tuesday, we're going to have a pajama party and just talk about our wins, our challenges, what we loved about being able to provide this opportunity for Canadian families and teachers and children. So it's little things like that you can make the virtual connection more meaningful. Throw some curveballs in there. Do something that you wouldn't normally do. Bring that level of humanity.
I've seen a few companies be doing gift exchanges virtually. So everyone gets a box delivered and they all open it virtually as if it's like in the office or something like that. So families can do something similar to that as well.
Yeah.
The next question, how can we tell our kids that everything is going to be okay? And that it's okay that things aren't okay at the moment.
Yeah. Validating the child's experience. Things, this reminds me of weather, Marlon, and I'm going to share that we can look at weather forecasts and we can see, oh, there's going to be stormy days up ahead, or it's going to be sunny on Saturday. Look at that. And the weather isn't always the same. It changes, and our level of okayness will change. And it's really important. I think the key, no one can promise that everything's going to be okay, but what we can do is actively work together to try and make things okay and make things as normal as possible, especially for children. So with a child that is not feeling okay about things, validating their experience versus telling them just get over it, it's going to be okay, that's going to cause more challenges for the child. That's going to be more aggravating for the kid. So if your kid's not okay, let them know it's okay to not be okay. And there's a great meme going around that I've become okay with varying levels of okay, being okay. And going back to involving the kid and finding ways to make things okay. So we don't know what's going to happen a week or two from now, but what can we do today to create some pockets of okay? What can we do tomorrow to create pockets of okay? And step by step, one by one, you're going to build your okay ladder.
Your okay ladder. I like that. Be in the present. Think about the immediate future.
Yeah.
Control what's going to happen.
Yeah.
No one knows.
No one knows. Okay happens moment by moment.
Mm-hmm. My kids don't understand why they can't go to grandma's house this year, as we have done for the past 10 years. They feel as though Christmas isn't happening this year. Any advice is appreciated.
Okay.
This is probably a reality for a lot of people around the world this year.
Mm-hmm.
And not even thinking about it from the child's perspective, but from the grandparents' perspective as well.
Mm-hmm.
Difficult for them to be alone. But what can we tell this parent?
For this parent, kids don't understand why they can't go to grandma's house as they've done for the past 10 years. Traditions are being challenged in a huge, huge way because of COVID, because of the pandemic reality. So things that were just a part of family traditions for the past 10 years are not going to be that. And the holidays, even at the best of times, can be supercharged emotional events, even at the best of times. And so you add in a layer of pandemic and social distancing. And so we've got a lot of different things. Now, we don't know if going to grandma's house is a car ride away, a plane ride, a train ride. Either way, there's some distance in going to grandma's house. So what can parents do to close the gap? Is it a phone call? Is it as simple as sitting down at the table, in the living room with your kids and saying, what did you love about going to grandma's house? And then understanding what it is that they appreciated so much or what they loved, and hearing them as they share. Oh, I loved grandma's roast turkey or apple pie, whatever it is, the traditions that the child has around going to grandma's house. Get all of the child's communication, and then involve your child in coming up with a solution, because going to grandma's house sounds like it's just not an option this year. What can we do? And if it feels like for them that Christmas isn't happening, I'd reframe that to, how can we make it feel like Christmas is happening this year? Because right now, the way the question is framed, it's a focus on all the things that aren't going to happen. But if we've reframed that and involve the kids, what can we do to make it feel more like Christmas this year?
Totally.
And you're going to get your advice from your own kiddos.
Spot on. And when you say make it experience that reminds them of Christmas and the tradition that they used to have. I know, and you mentioned roast turkey, and that stuck with me. And the smell.
Yeah.
Smell is such a powerful scent that it's one of our own, like one of our five senses that whenever you smell something, it automatically, even without knowing, jogs back memories that you might not even remember.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's just so interesting how that happens. So when you mentioned roast turkey, the first thing that came to my nose was the smell
of roast turkey. I have, when I was a kid, a very special memory of like Christmas Eve with Mom. Mom would stay up late wrapping presents. And as I got a little bit older, I would stay up with her wrapping those presents. And one year, she pulled out a fancy teacup from her teacup collection, and she made us both cups of tea, and we had toast with peanut butter. And it was something I just felt so special that, oh my gosh, Mom took out like the fancy teacups. We had tea, and it was peanut butter and toast and tea in these fancy teacups. And I have done this every year on Christmas Eve since then.
Really?
Peanut butter on toast with a tea in a fancy teacup. So it's like little things like that. I'm sure my own mom probably doesn't think anything of it, but it was so special to me. And I loved that feeling of magic of waking up the next morning and there's going to be like presents to open. And so I have an unusual Christmas tradition that I think is very localized to me. There's nobody else in my family member that talks about tea and peanut butter and toast, but that's my special own tradition.
Yeah, and now your mother will know.
Now my mother will know how important that was to me. Thank you, Mom.
Mhm. So you mentioned traditions. The next question, how can we create new traditions?
Okay. How can we create new traditions? So going back to that 2019 list of what you did during the holidays and looking at what can happen in 2020, talking with your family, finding out, like, traditions are important, and traditions are something special that you hand down generation after generation. And we are in a really unique situation right now with the pandemic and social distancing that we can invent new traditions. And I would preface all of this that make sure that those traditions matter to the people in your family. Don't impose traditions, involve your family in creating traditions. So if you want to take on peanut butter and toast in teacups, to create something around lights or making cards, there's so many possibilities. You got to get into that state of creation and wonder, creativity, and involving the children, involving the teens in creating these traditions. Can you think, Marlon, of any tradition that your own? You have a younger sister who's school age, right?
Mhm.
Can you think of a tradition based on this reality, the COVID reality, that might be fun for her?
Yeah, I mean, with her and her friends, they're at that generation where, and the age where technology and FaceTime and doing all those sorts of things has become the norm.
Mm-hmm.
So what's great for them is that she's able to connect with all her friends at any point during the holidays, even right now as well. So I know that's a new tradition that they've kind of started. I would love the opportunity to do something like a recipe, like some sort of cook something virtually, or here's the recipe, let's both make it, from separate places, obviously, but something that gets involved, something that you physically have to do, and you create something.
Okay.
The moment you create something, that is an experience and a memory.
I so love that. Marlon, I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to give your family a challenge, and any other family can take on this challenge. You each, and you can do different variations of this. So I'm picturing, Marlon, that you have a chat with your sister and you both decide on 4 ingredients. No other discussion. So apple, flour, butter, and sugar. Okay. 4. This is just random. Apple, flour, butter, sugar. You go away and you create something with your apple, flour, butter, and sugar, and your sister creates something with the support of your mom. And then you decide on a meeting, a Zoom meeting time, and you share your creations. What did you create with those 4 ingredients? And then what did you create? So you can share it, you can taste it, you can describe what it tastes like. I'm picturing Marlon creates apple cinnamon pancakes.
Oh.
And sister creates apple muffins, so the same ingredients, but 4 different interpretations. So you can create new traditions in like a different kind of show and tell.
That is, wow. Do you just come up with that on the spot, or is that the thing?
No, I just
Wow.
inspired by your share.
That's amazing. That's a really cool tradition that a lot of people can actually use and do.
Yeah, and then you can
It's easy to do. And there's a lot you can do with 4 ingredients, especially those 4.
And every week you could have a challenge like this where maybe we'll post on our conversation social, like your 4 ingredients are a pickle, peanut butter, flour. No, maybe it'll be a set of 5 ingredients and the 5th ingredient is optional.
Oh, yeah.
It reminds me of a show that I grew up watching when I was a kid. It was like kids were given some ingredients. It was a game show, and the parents had to guess which creation was made by their child. I loved this show. But yeah, so that's a new tradition. Bake, share, show, and tell.
I love that, especially with food.
Food.
We often are struggling to find ways to connect with each other other than TV and movies, which we all are susceptible to. What can we do to help with that?
So TV and movies, like I'm thinking family downtime, like what does a family do together? They watch TV, movies, struggling to find ways to connect with each other. I think this is like a perfect segue for the family care kit. Marlon, if you'll take us over to conversation.org, we want to show parents and caregivers there is a resource available to them. So this is conversation.org, and you click on the 4 families. And once you've clicked on there, you're going to see explore the power of conversation at home to help your children thrive. Download the kit. So if you haven't yet downloaded the kit, that's where you would click on the green button and you sign up and you'll access your download. So Marlon, do you have a care kit open on your side there?
Yeah, let me pull it up for you. 1 second.
Okay. And if you don't, that's okay, because I did say we were just going to go to the .org today.
Yeah, I think I just have the .org right now.
So once the families, once the families download their kit, you're going to see a table of contents, and on the in the table of contents in the care kit are a range of different activities you can do with your family, finding different ways to connect. We understand this is a challenge, and this is not a challenge just for the person who wrote in. It's a universal challenge. People are finding it a struggle, and that is the very core, the essence of our grant project with the Canadian Red Cross and the Government of Canada. Feel so fortunate to have been selected, and the struggle is real. Finding ways to keep your children entertained, especially during these next few months.
Especially because, sorry to butt in here, but especially because the normal things that we would go out and do, the events during the holidays, go see the light shows or anything like that, we can't do anymore at the moment. So yeah, it's again, that brings us back to the creating new traditions in the previous question, and how we can establish some sort of fun other than TV and movies. I mean, TV and movies, there's nothing wrong with that either. I love a good holiday movie.
I'm thinking about like the Stanley Park train ride and the Van Dusen garden lights, and I'm just thinking, like, how can you replicate those experiences at home? And when I think for those that are local, if you can put a tent in your living room, if you've got younger kids love that experience, being in a tent. And if you can figure out how to have some fun with lights, find out what matters to your kids. Start with that. And know that TVs and movies, especially if you got some teenagers tend to they can go off into TV and movie land, Netflix and, all that stuff. But to bring that connection, that communication, that sense of joy, screen time will never replace like how great it is to feel seen, heard, valued, acknowledged, and have some laughs. It's such a great way to connect meaningfully with your family.
One of our last questions here. I'm having the opposite problem than most people. I myself, so the parent, I'm struggling with the thought of holidays this year, and my kids have been the ones to cheer me up. How can I change this for their sake?
This parent is struggling with the holidays, and the kids are cheering the parent up. I would invite this parent to just be honest with your kids. Look, I'm struggling with the thought of the holidays, and I want to be able to cheer you guys up, and it's so wonderful that you're cheering me up. How can we flip this? How can we work together so that all of us are feeling excited? Involve your kids. Your kids are more insightful than you'll ever realize. They're picking up on things all the time. They're clued into you. They're clued into your emotions. They're clued into what you're saying and what you're not saying. And I understand as parents, that you may feel a huge responsibility to have all the answers and to provide all the guidance, and involving your kids in just these really honest, open dialogues, conversations, if you will, allows them to embrace their own humanity. Because there's going to come a time when your kids will struggle, and there's going to come a time when your kids won't know what to do. And until you start demonstrating for them openly that this is how you handle life's challenges, you're equipping them with the tools that they'll need to support them now and in the future. Make sense, Marlon?
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I think we're all having some sort of struggle, and acknowledging that and saying that it's okay. And not everything has to be perfect. And being okay with not everything being perfect is okay.
100 years from now, they're going to look back at this time, like whoever is on the planet 100 years from now, they're going to be like, oh yeah, remember the great pandemic of 2020? And you're going to see evidence and footage of all the different ways we work together to be creative and to find to connect. I mean, I am fascinated by the 1920s, the images I see from the 1920s pandemic, and like people sitting with masks in like black and white photos. And I often like think to myself as I look at these images, like, what were they eating? What were they doing? How are they coping with all of this? So just know that we're all part of making history together. And there's really holidays, finding joy and connection. There's a range of different holidays that people celebrate. Bring your humanity. Now, more than ever, just bring your humanity. You don't need to know the answer. I can't tell you how many times I've said to people, I don't have the answer. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing in 2020.
It's okay not to know.
It's okay not to know, because there's so much not to know. But finding those pockets of time to be okay, finding ways to be okay, to celebrate each other, to celebrate our accomplishments, to celebrate new traditions involving your kids. For many children, this is a magical time of year, and a magical time of year that's been sort of just washed over with all these questions, concerns, and anxiety around traditions. So be gentle with your kiddos. Parents know that they may have thoughts and feelings they haven't even expressed to you. Their worries about, will jolly old Saint Nick come down that chimney this year? Or will he bypass us? Will he leave presents on the steps? I don't know what parents are going to do, but give yourselves permission to be really creative this year.
Creativity. Love it. So this is our second to last episode, Jena. We have one more episode, and we're actually going to be doing it next Monday. So this Monday coming up, November 30th at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. You can join us right here. Again, feel free to ask any questions. We really appreciate receiving all these intimate, detailed questions from your families and your parents, from kids even as well. So I appreciate everyone. And Jena, do you have any final words?
I do. Thank you, Marlon, for saying that. So we have one more episode coming up on Monday. And if you've watched this one and you found any value in this, and you think that this could benefit in any which way somebody in your own life, please share the video. The more the video is shared, the more people find out that there is a family resource available, and the more support goes out there, the more we work together to find those pockets of okay. So please share the video.
Download the Family Care Kit.
Download the Family Care Kit. And do you know what our topic is for Monday? We're going to keep that a surprise.
No, we can share with our viewers. Our next topic is 3 steps to better communication with your family. Do you know what the 3 steps are?
Yeah, we'll save that for Monday. So join us on Monday at 12 o'clock for 3 steps to better communication with your families. And a big shout out to all the people behind the scenes who support us in getting these episodes up and running each week. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Jena. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you to all the moms and dads watching. Marlon, who am I forgetting?
Ourselves. Thank you, Jena. Thank you for all your wisdom, advice, everything. But we have one more episode, so let's say the gratis for that.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Share, share, share.